Malcolm, Stanley Street and Little Stanley Street would be my sort of favourite precinct with that real contrast between urban and park. It's almost an edge. And yet you've got these wonderful little alleyways or laneways going underneath the buildings. Can you talk about that contrast between the urban streets and South Bank itself?
Yeah, so look, I think it's been very much something that's emerged out of what's been a very carefully considered master planning approach. And when people hear the word master plan, they can too easily think of it being as something that's a blueprint, a fixed plan. And the interesting history about the development of South Bank post-Expo has been that there's been in fact a number of master plans produced or reviews of an original master plan that have been undertaken, and that has contributed to the reinforcement of some deceptively simple principles related to permeability, about bringing the spaces back to street level, making the places attractive to people, and so the connections, the way in which we set up, you know, the streetscapes and the uses within those streetscapes. Little Stanley Street, I think, is a terrific example of a street. It's neither one thing or the other. It actually straddles and connects what is clearly a park environment to a different type of public realm experience, which is very much to do with a boulevard, Grey Street. It intercedes between those two urban typologies of spaces very well, and it's been a lot of hard work. We've worked very hard since Little Stanley Street was created to get the mix right, and certainly to create opportunities for traders and people to adapt the spaces to the way they operate. We've been very conscious about being too heavy-handed in our planning approach. Yes, we do want to make sure the quality of the design and the shop fronts is very high standard, but at the same time we want the traders and their customers to feel that they can actually adapt the space to the way they want to use it. So maintaining that flexibility, as I said, is really important for us, and that's why I think it's a very successful space.
Malcolm, I suspect that the devil's a little in the detail, and one of the things that people don't probably really realise they're missing in places like Little Stanley Street and Grey Street is the fire hydrants and the service panels and the servicing. How much effort do you sort of spend in working with the designer and the developer about trying to maximise the public activity at street level?
Look, a lot of work went into working with Mirvac, who was a developer of that particular development, to putting all those things below ground in places where they didn't need to dominate the streetscape. So we've been able to keep the public realm pretty clear, clean, uncluttered, ultimately to try and maximise the amount of literally ground surface available for people to use in an unrestricted kind of way. So a lot of work has been put into, again, those human needs where we provide shade, you know, the types of trees we use, the ability for people to, you know, see other users. It's that people watching thing that's so important to great streets. I think by any measure, you know, Little Stanley Street, you know, achieves that. And I think it is, from my perspective, and I'm probably biased, I think it's a great exemplar of how you actually deal with things at that sort of scale.